Hi, this is Mark with your weekly update for the week starting 23rd of November. If you caught last week's video, you will know that I explained that although markets are difficult, it was still possible to make trades. And I specifically spoke about the Euro USD. And here we have, this was last Friday's candle, so price had closed around 4,900. And what I said was that price was bouncing between 4,800 and the upper area of 50-55. So what I suggested was that we look for trades where price came back down to the 4,800 area. I did explain as well that we don't always go to the pip, because I'd missed the week before by 1 pip. So I said 4,800, 4,820. And what happened on Tuesday, price came down, hit this area, and price moved away for a 170, 180 pip gain. Now you could at that point have shorted, because what I should have pointed out last week, of course, is also 1.500 was an important area for another bounce off. So the bounce down there would have yielded you 200 pips. Friday, it happened again, and I longed here on Friday, and this was a nice simple bounce of 4,800 intersecting with a daily trend line that has been in place going back to earlier in the year. And we also had 61.8% fib in the area. So small stop, good potential trade. It worked. Very simple. And I say you could have placed those two trades from analysis we did last weekend, and that would have been sufficient for you to make 200 or 300 points out of just this one pair. I also pointed out to you on the Aussie dollar, similar situation. The Aussie dollar was bouncing around. I'd said look for areas to short from this area, and my followers and I caught this on Friday again, because we'd been looking all week for price to pull back to 90-100. This is currently 60 odd pips in front. And what happened here, we were looking, it was an intersection of the fib and the daily trend line, and we also had EMAs on different time frames. Now the thing is, for the week ahead, a lot of these areas look as though they may now break. So you have to be careful. It's not just because it happened last week it will do again, but as I say, it did work. And equally on the pound. Now the pound was a funny one, because what happened with the pound did bounce off the upper resistance area, and that would have given you 350 pip gain from the short there. But on the way down, I actually caught a bounce back up on 2 occasions. We were looking, followers and I, we were looking for a bounce at 66.50, which was here. Now this only gave about a 40 pip gain. I then looked for 6600, and I explained that the fib 78.6, lots of things going on, big psychological area. And what happened here, this actually made a profit twice. You could have got into this trade on the Friday at the 6600 area, at Thursday Friday time, and then eventually price broke through, and we were even then able to make money from this on Friday from the Asian breakout method I mentioned. Now the overnight range was pushing it a bit because it was 60 pips, but price simply moved sideways through the Asian session, and then eventually just after London Open, price came down, broke through this area, pulled back, which is what we look for, logically to 6600, and price fell away 150 pips. You could then, had you so chosen, taken the bounce back off again. So there are ways to make money even in current tricky markets, and it was difficult last week. I got to the point I was tearing my limited amount of hair out on the Tuesday, but things did get better as the week progressed. So, moral of the story is there are trades to be had, there is good profit to be had, but what you need to do is you don't chase price and you let price come to you. Set your trap in advance and then look for areas of reasonable areas that price is likely to react with a view to take a trade. Now, on to this week's analysis. So, on to this week. How do we play all this? Well, price again is on many of the pairs is on a trend line. For example, here on the pound, let's have a look. Pound broke a trend line. The euro and the Aussie dollar. Here you've got the euro is on a daily trend line with an intersection of a psychological level and a fib level, and it is the same on the Aussie dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and quite a few of the pairs. So the way that we have to play this is Monday we have 2 options. The price is either going to bounce back again, or price is going to break through and down. Now, the way I play this is, if price is to come back down here, I will look for clues on the smaller time frames, and what you will notice if you have a look through your charts, the 200 EMA again has been huge on lots of pairs again, and you have it here again. You could see, I said to you the last few weeks, you could virtually trade bounces of 200 EMAs, and it did it again here Friday on the euro. Personally, I got in on the Aussie dollar for similar reasons. I was looking for a bounce off a trend line, but then I start to go down to lower time frames to look for clues, and the clue here for me was this failure to break the 200 EMA again, as had happened earlier in the month. So look for clues for reasons that price is going to bounce in an area, because it does look as though it's coming down to the line and could go back up. However, lots of these pairs are now starting to look bearish on the daily. We have a 5-8 cross here, which is indicative of price going down. Stochastics are starting to point down, and the EMAs are starting to roll over. So it could well break. Now, if it does, and you're trading off daily charts, then I wait for price to break through on Monday and then to pull back to this area before shorting. One thing to note with the pound. The pound here, this is a weekly chart of the British pound against the US dollar. Now, I've put these lines in for you to look for a different reason. Notice this here. This is what is known as an engulfing candle. This candle opened above the previous close, so there was a gap, and it has completely, the body of this candle has completely engulfed the body of this candle, and at major areas, and you can see it happened here previously a few weeks back, we had an engulfing candle, and normally price will then move away. What happened here? Price pulled back 50%. So what you could do with the pound is look for a 50% pullback of this weekly candle. So we can either look for bounces of 6,500 again, or look for price to pull back up to here, say to 166.65 area, or even as far as 16700, with a view to then price breaking back down again. So you're either looking for bounces off areas of support and resistance again, or we are looking for breakouts. And if we have a breakout, then we need to look for, as I said to you earlier, a breakthrough and a pullback before going short. The euro is not an engulfing candle on the weekly, but it, again, all the EMAs are rolling over. Aussie dollar, again, is at this trend line. Now, this trend line on the Aussie dollar really has held, I think, going back to about February, so this is hugely significant. And this, again, is 9100, which is a significant psychological whole number, and 61.8% fib. So at the moment we are in an uptrend, and therefore I am expecting to take a long on this pair. However, I have to be open to the possibility that price could move back down and go the other way. And same for yourselves. Now, the Euro GBP on Friday night, the Euro GBP closed very teasingly at 89.99 here on Forex Meta. It did actually close, I think, at 9002 on Alpari. And again, if you notice, what has it stopped at? It has stopped at the 200 EMA on the 4-hour again. Now, it did break through, and it is now sat on it. This pair is in a downtrend on the daily, but it broke back through the 55 EMA on the daily, and we have been taking shorts off this for the last 3 weeks. Price kept coming up, hitting it, and going back down again. Now, I don't know. I personally, this is my favorite pair, but I'm going to leave this. What I would look for with this is the possibility that price is going to come up here to 90.70 or 90.60 area, because it's a recent high, and this Bollinger Band, if this Bollinger Band stays the same, that is a never in a million years Bollinger Band. The price is going to come up, hit it, and bounce back down. As I said earlier, lots of pairs are in a similar situation on these daily trend lines. Look for bounces off, look for breakthroughs, and also look for the Asian breakout method that we enjoyed great success with last week. Have a great week.